Welcome back to the SMT Media Network. In today's video, I would just like to revisit a concept that I made another video about several months ago. And this was after, I guess it was after the playoff loss from the Lakers, season ending in a 5-game gentleman's sweep against the Timberwolves. And, it's a tough way to go. You finish so highly ranked in the Western Conference. You have 2 All-NBA caliber players, 2 Hall of Fame bound players, and you bring in JJ Redick and you get these high expectations, just based on the way the season went. It's tough, but whatever. Season ends, you retool, you get ready for the next one. Now, one of the videos that I'm referencing is the one where I described the LA Lakers circus that is about to unfold. And that was because, you can kind of see the writing on the wall. Any offseason with LeBron involved is going to have a lot of, extracurricular things that happen off the court. You can view LeBron through the scope of basketball and obviously respect the greatness and appreciate the play, 22, 23 seasons now. And, he's done it at such a high level for such a long time. But that's not what this is about. When I mentioned or referenced, the LA Lakers circus, it was more so these things that I was kind of alluding to. Like, you saw LeBron signing his $52.6 million player option, which is to his right. I mean, that's the contract. You could do that. You can question why it was that and he wasn't offered any type of extension or new contract. If LeBron wanted to stay in LA, why didn't the Lakers offer it to him? And some people believe it's a basketball decision, which would make sense as he's a quite elderly player by, standards of traditional standards. So they've traded for Luka and they're going in a specific direction. These are basketball conversations, which are perfectly fine, and I, would entertain and listen to anybody have those conversations. But then things get into more about kissing his feet and respect and all this other stuff. That stuff is much more nuanced, and that stuff is much more complicated because you don't know everything that everybody's thinking. Usually when it's mostly about basketball, things are much more logical and have more reason, right? So those conversations get messy, but that's basically why I said the Lakers offseason is going to be a circus. Like, we're already hearing conversations from JJ Redick talking about Bronny getting a big role. We've already heard conversations about, LeBron not texting DeAndre Ayton to say welcome. And LeBron doesn't have to do anything. That's not what this video is about. But I think what's important to note is there was no attempt to keep LeBron beyond this season, right? And that may have done something to LeBron's psychology about how he views the relationship between him and the organization. He wasn't a part of the Luka Laker meetings in the offseason. So I think there's part of him that probably resents the Lakers, not wanting to keep him additional years, not making him a part of the meetings. I think that makes a lot of sense, that he has that element of resentment. He's been making spiteful subliminals through the media, whether it's through his people, his camp, or himself or whatever, posting cryptic photos and having other types of comments. LeBron doesn't owe anybody anything. Nobody owes LeBron anything. If this is just about basketball, teams sign players. They offer players contracts. Players agree to the terms or they don't. So from a basketball decision, everything's very clear. But it's the other things that I was mentioning. When I made that video about the Lakers being a circus in the offseason, it's not over. It's not done. They had this presser with Luka and Rob. Why would anybody expect LeBron to be there? LeBron didn't text DeAndre Ayton to say welcome. LeBron's not obligated to do any of these things, and he wasn't a part of some of the meetings that took place between the organization about the future of the team. So he's not really a part of this thing. Why would he be warm to it? is what I'm saying. I'm not here to defend LeBron. I'm just saying, think about it logically. If you were iced out of all these meetings, if you were not a part of the future, why would fans or anybody else be critiquing LeBron for not being at these things? He's not a part of the things. I just think people are unrealistic about their expectations, and they're going to say things about LeBron like, oh, look, he's not playing nice. He's not, doing all the things publicly that he should be doing. He's a bad guy and all that. I mean, I don't think that applies here. I just think that the Lakers have moved on and they're going in a different direction. What would he look like trying to be a part of these things when he's just not a part of them? I think people are unrealistic about it. And I'm not like a LeBron stan. I've said this on other episodes and said this on live streams. I refuse to put myself in any type of box, LeBron hater or LeBron stan. I'm not into any of that. I'm just objectively looking at this from the outside. They didn't make him a part of the future. I mean, how could they, right? They've already made a decision to move in a different direction. Why have him involved in all these little things? So for people to think about it any other way makes no sense. I'm not being an apologist for LeBron. I just think fans are a little disconnected from the truth. Does it look good optically? Of course not. It doesn't look graceful. It's not optically appealing. LeBron's does have I would say a little bit of a spiteful edge to him at times. And that's his decision if he wants to be viewed that way and have people seeing him that way. But you can't control certain situations, but you can control your response to certain situations. And that's what I think is playing out here. Look, I'm not going to spend the whole offseason trying to evaluate things that I'm not sure about 100% of how or why they happen. But I think it's just pretty clear. Why would anybody expect LeBron to be at these things when he's just not a part of the future of why these moves are happening in the first place? Like, share, subscribe, check out some more of our videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon on the next one.